Welcome to another workout whiteboard where I share some thoughts between sets that I think will have a great impact. Let me ask you something. How do you think I got to the point where I can bench press 285 pounds? Well, the answer is I was willing to bench press less than 285 pounds. It turns out that if you want to do big things, you first have to be willing to do little things. And often, those little things are a lot less little in impact than they might seem. Now, I've given you one example where doing small things repeatedly over time can lead to big results. But it's also the case that sometimes what seem like small things aren't small at all, and they make a tremendous difference. In fact, if you were to look back on a life well lived and somehow have the perception to see the cause and effect of everything in that life, you'd probably produce a list of highest impact decisions that would consist of surprisingly small things. It's not easy to accurately evaluate the long-term impact of the decisions we make. This might be one of the most important reasons for doing the absolute best we can all the time, because you can know what your best is much more accurately than you can know when it matters if you do less. Does that make sense? That one time that you cut yourself some slack, that you say, well, no one will know. You say, well, I've worked really hard and I deserve this. That might be one of those times that makes a lifetime of difference in your life. And you'll miss out on it. And worst of all, you won't even know that you've missed out on it. And if you chain a few of these together, which will absolutely happen if you do this on a regular basis, you will have a dramatically worse life than you otherwise would. So, it turns out that being willing to do the little things in order to be able to do the big things is an example of a principle that I call obtaining things through their opposite. Now, this is a really big principle and it's really important, and just a little no-frills video on this ghetto whiteboard might not convey that importance to you, but that's okay. If you think about this and apply it in your life, you will experience a radical improvement in your life. So many things fit this pattern. I've given you some examples. Here are some other examples. So often, you have to do what you don't want to do in order to be able to do what you want to do. You hear stories about this all the time. An example is work. What percentage of people really get excited about going to work? It's almost never about that. And when it is, it tends to be in the life of a younger person who hasn't yet pushed hard enough into life to be disillusioned by their job. Turns out that hardly any job is worth it in and of itself. Almost every job is only worth it because of the money it provides, which you can spend on things that have bigger and longer lasting meaning. A very common place to focus that meaning is family. And guess what? You need money to have a family. So frequently you have to do what you're not super excited to do, what you don't want to do, in order to be able to do what you do want to do. Another example is this last one. Frequently, you have to be willing to endure what causes pain in order to obtain what causes joy. This might be the most important one of all. So often in life, we set these artificial barriers on what we're willing to endure, and not surprisingly, that leads to a great filtration on what we can obtain. If you want to have greater joy in your life, the path to that is going to go through greater suffering. Now, I've spoken and written a lot about that, and if you're interested in that, you can head over to upwardthought.org and search some related terms. It'll pull up all those materials that I've produced. I encourage you to think about these topics and to live them more fully in your life, and I hope it helps.